Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Top 10 Toons. I'm your host, Toon Master. In this series, we count down the top 10s of a variety of subjects involving all your favorite cartoons. New, old, it doesn't matter. All audio and visual effects have been added to prevent copyright infringement. All audio and visual content is owned by their respective owners.
The world can be a dark and terrifying place. The unknown and those with evil intentions can arrive at any moment. As children, we must learn to face these fears and overcome them. And what better way to introduce children to the world of horror than through cartoons? But sometimes the animators go too far and we are left scarred for life. This is the Top 10 Toon Scares, the scariest moments in cartoon history.
Number 1. This is not a creepiest moments list. Although some creepy moments can be considered scary, this list is not about what gives you the creeps. It's about nightmare fuel. Number 2. Must be an animated feature. No live action movies with CG monsters or shows with animation thrown in. These do not count on the list. It must be a full-fledged cartoon. Number 3. One entry per show or movie. Number 4. No animes. Once again, I do not have extensive knowledge of animes, and as such, I will not be able to give them a fair representation. If you think animes deserve a spot on these lists, be sure to leave a suggestion for the next episode in the comments below.
Now, let the horror begin. Number 10.
Any only child will tell you the dread they go through when their parents announce that they'll be having a new baby. But this nightmare that Angelica had just went way overboard. It starts off legitimately with her parents forgetting about her and becoming obsessed with the new baby.
Mommy?
Who are you?
It's me, Angelica.
Who?
Angelica, your daughter.
Oh yeah, our old kid. I remember now.
A realistic fear for anyone going through this. But then, the dream takes a dark turn.
So you're the new baby, huh?
That's right. I'm the new baby. I'm the new baby and you're the old baby, see? And you better get something straight right off the bat. There ain't room in this house for the both of us.
Holy cow! Now if that isn't enough, Angelica's parents then get even worse by taking away all of her possessions, giving them to the baby, and leaving her alone in a laundry room with only a piece of cheese for nourishment.
Taking the new baby into your room and giving him all your toys.
Huh? But where will I sleep?
From now on, this will be your room.
But this is the laundry room.
Oh, and we were too busy with the new baby to make you dinner, but here's a piece of cheese. And when the dryer stops, you can fold the towels.
But Mommy!
But it's not over yet. This wouldn't be in the top 10 Toon Scares if it wasn't going to get worse.
Huh?
Hey, what are you doing here, sister? I thought I told you to scram.
Ooh, nom nom.
I warned you to get out, but you wouldn't listen. Now I'm gonna have to teach you a lesson. You had your chance.
Now this next scene is like something straight out of a horror movie. Angelica is running for her life from this giant infant, hiding in the closet, which as any horror movie buff will tell you, is a horrible idea.
You are...
And now, for the final nail in the coffin, sealing this scene as one of the top 10 scariest cartoon moments.
Where do you think you're going, sister? I wonder what a toy car would taste like.
No, please! I'm your big sister!
Well, now you're num-nums.
Now, honestly, if you were dreaming this, tell me you wouldn't wake up in a panic too. The child's mindset of her parents forgetting about her, the fact that the new baby has a scary deep voice, and after slowly growing to a towering size, he consumes her. That is one scary dream that I'm sure has caused many young audiences to run crying to their parents.
Number 9.
It's your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault.
What have we done?
What would you do if everything you knew was changed? Everyone you know and love now hates you. What if the world that you once protected has now been destroyed and a devil now rules over your friends and family? Sounds scary enough for you? What show could possibly take this dark path? The Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls is normally a lighthearted show with short, cute characters. But one episode takes a sudden dark turn and we are left with the show's representation of hell on Earth. After a rather overwhelming day at school,
That's 2 apples. But if Billy threw his apple to Sally at a trajectory of 1.8 meters per second, assuming an Einsteinian universe, the distance between 2 points remaining constant, space and time being 2 elements of the same ratio, those elements being the interval between 2 successive events, the quantum rules that govern the subatomic level of the universe according to Einstein's theory of relativity, time does not remain a constant at equality when approaching the speed of light. Therefore, as one approaches the speed of light, the distance between the 2 successive points shrinks to 0. However, for the people back home, a considerable amount of time would pass, somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 years. We'll cover all that later on.
the Powerpuff Girls decide to race home. What could possibly go wrong? Well, maybe they should pay a little bit more attention to the lesson in class, because they're about to make the biggest mistake of their lives. After the race is finished and they make it home, they find the professor's lab in disarray, and a very aged Professor Utonium. He has gone mad after years of trying to reproduce the experiment that caused the creation of the Powerpuff Girls. But he's not the only one who's changed. The city of Townsville has become a wasteland as an eerie red hue blankets the world around them. One by one, they meet up with friends they once knew, but now they're all irrational. They blame the girls for causing all this suffering and even the death of the mayor. When they get to their preschool, that's when they discover the truth of what happened and who is behind everything.
I just stood there waving goodbye, and they raced off. Just stood there waving goodbye, and they raced off and
But,
raced
Miss
off.
Keene, we're right here.
Vanished for 50 years, 50 years, 50 years, 50 years.
50 years.
Don't you know, the faster you go, time slows down.
Now, Him has been an occasional villain for the girls. He has always been very mysterious and his true powers have been unknown. He normally plays games with them, but he is not playing anymore. As Him puts it,
Yes! As you race through time, the whole world went to heck.
Him becomes the embodiment of the devil as he begins to play mind games with them. The Powerpuff Girls then do what they do best, beat up the bad guy. But this time, they aren't holding back.
Are you finished?
But try as they might, they can't seem to harm him. Him is now stronger than he ever was before, as he transforms into a new, more monstrous form.
Already won. The beauty lies in the blame, because it's your fault for leaving.
Him then calls forth all of the girls' friends as they begin to chant accusations at them. The Powerpuff Girls then begin to break down. They've never had to face this kind of torture before, watching as all their friends, after years of suffering, are blaming them for their damnation.
Powerpuff Girls, why? You weren't here to protect us. You weren't here. It's your fault. Your fault. Your fault. Your fault.
The suddenness of the change in tone of the show, as well as depicting him as the devil, certainly caught all of the viewers by surprise. The way that the city is depicted as hell, as well as the friends and family of the Powerpuff Girls going mad, just makes this episode all the more disturbing. If causing hell to be unleashed on Earth isn't scary enough for you, then seeing all your friends suffering being all on your hands certainly will. This is one cartoon hell that we will never forget.
Number 8.
Classic Disney movies have a tendency to put very disturbing and scary scenes in their movies to help teach children a lesson. But when you cause them to have nightmares for days, then you may want to recheck your priorities. In one of Disney's first animated movies, we are forced to watch as many young children are transformed into donkeys and treated like scum. The donkey transformation is supposed to represent how they acted like jackasses, and that is why they must suffer.
Alexander.
So you can talk.
Yes, sir. I want to go home to my mama.
Take him back. He can still talk.
Please, I don't want to be a donkey.
Jeez, Disney. A little harsh, don't you think? I get that drinking and smoking is bad for you, but damn, this is too much. Well, they take it one step further as we see the transformation take place as one kid reacts in horror. We watch as the kid desperately cries for help, but no one can save him from his fate. The most horrifying part of this scene is definitely the moment when his transformation is in its final stage and he cries out for his mother. His voice goes out as a donkey's bray takes over.
Call that beetle. Call anybody. Mama.
He panics and goes nuts, destroying everything in the room as we see our hero will soon meet the same fate. Now that is one scary scene. Disney obviously was trying to keep kids off of booze and cigars, but sometimes they go overboard and children are left traumatized instead. Thank you, Disney, for the psychotherapy bills.
Number 7.
Oh, Disney, don't you ever learn? There's a better way to keep kids from doing bad things than by scarring them for life. In this classic Disney movie, Dumbo gets drunk and has a very upsetting hallucination, one that has caused many people, children and adults alike, to be extremely disturbed. The large number of vibrant colors and shapes, along with a rather disconcerting song, makes this short sequence an infamous one. Dozens of eyeless pink elephants are dancing and moving in unnatural ways, which causes our brains to try to comprehend what it is we are viewing. When it can't, our brain begins to panic, trying desperately to find a reason for why this is happening.
What an unusual view! I am not the type to faint when things are odd or things are quaint, but seeing things you know that ain't can certainly give you an awful fright. What a sight!
Chase them away! Chase them away!
Then the animation begins to go crazy, as our brain does as well, both speeding up faster and faster. Why is this happening? What is this? I don't understand. Someone tell me what's going on. Why? How? And then it all comes to a crashing halt. Our brains begin to slow down as it realizes the strange imagery has ended. It can finally relax. What makes this hallucination scary is the feeling we get when we watch this scene. It's sorta like a bad high. All you do is end up confused and with a throbbing headache. It's scary because you never want to go through that feeling again. Ever. But you will, because after watching this, you'll be seeing pink elephants in your nightmares. Sleep tight, everyone.
Number 6.
Damn it, Disney. Again? The movie Fantasia is a unique movie that showcases animation that moves along with classical music. But when you introduce a giant demon that could be considered Satan himself, then you cause nightmares. The demon rises from atop a mountain, and he begins to call the souls of those that have perished from the graves below. These spirits are creepy enough as they are, but once they reach the demon, he then uses the fires of hell to call forth his minions. We watch as the devilish minions dance for him, and he repays them by burning them in eternal agony. The demon of Ball Mountain then begins to create life out of the flames of hell, only to then convert them into savage animals and then monsters, much to his amusement. The entire sequence is just this giant demon playing with the souls of the damned. His scary smile and obvious amusement he gets out of torturing these beings is just horrifying. Hundreds of disturbing creatures flying at the screen and fires everywhere will cause anyone to shake in fear. This is the closest thing we will ever be to seeing Satan in a Disney movie, and boy did they deliver. The image of the devil hiding on the mountaintop waiting to be awakened will always be in the back of our minds, never sure when he will make his return.
Number 5.
Here's another innocent little flick that you would never expect to scare the bejesus out of you. But it will! Everything is hunky-dory when all of a sudden, smoke begins to emerge from our toaster pal. But this isn't ordinary smoke. We watch helplessly as the little boy is grabbed and pulled out of the kitchen by this mysterious smoke. But the horror is just beginning. Fire breaks out, and from it emerges a thing straight out of your nightmare. Holy moly! I'm sure many kids wet their pants after seeing that clown. Forget about it. This is the scariest clown I've ever seen. Toaster runs for his life, but the clown won't let his fun in just yet. He unleashes a tsunami of forks right at him, laughing maniacally as Toaster hangs for his life above a tub of water, which, as we all know, means death for him. He slips and dies. Goodbye, Toaster. Now, most kids' movies will cut out of a dream right before death occurs, but not this one. We see him fall into the tub of water and short circuit. The death of our main protagonist, as well as the scariest clown in animation history, sure makes this an easy addition to the list.
Number 4.
Hello,
Who are you?
an angel. What's your name? Satan.
Satan can come in many forms and manners. You may expect him to look like a giant demon,
Only
but
it's sure a
sometimes
sorry
he
name
may
for an
come in the
angel.
form of a mysterious stranger.
Please
Mark Twain
come
takes
in.
several of his creative characters, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and Thatcher, through several locations, and one of these locations is the home of a very mysterious stranger. This masked man with a very creepy voice appears before them, claiming to be an angel. But not just any angel, it's Satan himself. The children enter Satan's home and he begins to demonstrate his powers for them. He creates a lush green landscape and even food out of thin air for the children. He lures the children into a false sense of security by playing with them in the clay kingdom.
You may make some people.
The kids create the people of the kingdom as Satan gives them life.
Now we'll give them life.
Moving.
Looks like my pap on Saturday night.
But the clay people soon begin to anger Satan, and so the scene takes a dark turn as he shows his true colors.
Fools. What fascinations there are on this planet.
Satan begins to kill off all the people in the kingdom in horrific ways that, if they weren't made out of clay, would be very traumatizing. The way that these people die are so horrendous that if you just imagine them as real people, it makes the scene all the more terrifying. This movie managed to depict Satan as how he may really be, a fallen angel that can do no wrong because he knows no wrong.
I can do no wrong, for I do not know what it is.
It is a chilling portrayal of the king of the underworld. It is almost believable that the true Satan is this way, a frightening thought from a very scary scene.
We could make more
sometime, if we need them.
Number 3.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage the Cowardly Dog Show!
Courage the Cowardly Dog is one of those shows that has many scary, unforgettable scenes. So many, in fact, that it deserves its own list. But none is more frightening than the face from the episode The House of Discontent. The episode starts off slowly and picks up speed, similar to movies like Paranormal Activity. We start off with a scary voice ordering the family to get out.
Get out.
I must be hearing things.
But when he is brushed off, he then begins to demonstrate his paranormal powers. Food and kitchen utensils begin to attack Muriel. Eustace ignores the voice as well and soon pays the price.
Darn talk radio? Muriel! Muriel!
Courage hears Muriel scream and comes to rescue her. All three soon end up in the basement, where the voice's origin is revealed, and the faith that has haunted children everywhere. Holy Mother of God! The black empty eyes, the realistic look, the horrifying voice, the expressionless face that looks like something out of a scary story to read in the dark book. No other creature in the series has ever looked or sounded this terrifying. Whenever he speaks, chills run down your spine. His voice is so commanding and threatening that it makes the already scary spirit all the more scary. Nothing that the face does is necessarily scary, but the look and sound of it is enough to cause nightmares for days. Just imagine seeing this in your basement and tell me you wouldn't take its warning seriously and run from the house never looking back.
Get out now, or face the consequences.
Number 2.
We all knew this was coming. Considered one of the scariest moments in cartoons, this animated representation of the legend of Sleepy Hollow does one heck of a job making the monster of the story one to be feared. The entire scene is horrifying. Ichabod is riding in a dark and spooky forest, alone with his horse, as eerie sounds are surrounding him. The sounds intensify the further he goes, and the horrors climax when the headless horseman appears. His laughter is simply terrifying, and being chased by such a monster would cause anyone to eject their bowels. The design is amazingly horrifying. The way he is always in the shadows and how the glow of the full moon gleams across his body is perfect. Chasing Ichabod across the forest, they make it to a bridge. Upon crossing the bridge, the headless horseman will lose all of its powers. Ichabod was just about to make it to safety, only to be killed in the final seconds before being free from the beast, never to be seen again. Warning: the following spot shows very disturbing violent content that may offend some people. Please skip ahead if you wish not to view it. This is a legitimate warning. It is extremely graphic.
Number 1.
Death is a scary thing. Whether human or animal, we can agree that death is no laughing matter. It is a terrifying thing that we must all go through one day. But sometimes, movies take death too far, and thus we have our number 1 spot. Rabbits lead a dangerous life. They are often the prey of many different animals. Whether land or air, rabbits are doomed to a life of terror, and no other animation captures that more than Watership Down. The movie kills off more of its characters than horror movies do. It is not only horrible to see them die, but the ways that they die are so horrible and gruesome that I'm sure that anyone, whether child or adult, will be traumatized by the time this movie is over. This movie is definitely not for the faint of heart. Whether ripped to shreds, eaten alive, slaughtered, or being crushed to death. This movie not only crosses the line between entertainment and disgust, it flat out charges through and gives us a disgusting array of death. It is horrifying to watch all of these poor animals die in such horrific manners. This is the scariest animated movie of all time. Not for the horror or the scares, but for the horrific imagery and disgusting actions that take place in it. Anyone who has seen it wishes they hadn't. And there you have it, the top 10 Toon scares. But now it's time for
Toon Tally!
Last week we asked you to vote on which cowering canine you like best. Courage the Cowardly Dog or Scooby-Doo. Now for the results. The winner is Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now for the next Toon Tally. Chipmunk Showdown. Which chipmunk show do you prefer? Alvin and the Chipmunks or Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers? Vote now for your favorite tiny team. Which one will be the Chipmunk champion? You decide by voting in our poll. The link is in the description below. Remember, every vote counts, so vote now. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I would appreciate it greatly if you liked the video if you enjoyed it. The likes help me determine the future of this series. Be sure to subscribe too so you know when the next episode is up. If you have any suggestions of your own for this list, be sure to comment below and let others know what scares you. Also, you can put up your suggestions for next episode's list. Top 10 tunes that ended too soon. What are some cartoons that you think should have lasted longer? Leave a suggestion below and you may see it in the upcoming episode. Thanks again and see you all next time.
Engine 25 comes back. The mad engineer at the throttle.
Return the slab, or suffer my...
He says he's all right in a pig's eye.
The